Hello? Nathan, I need a warm body to join me in my conquest of the prince and his pathetic hierarchy. What are your plans for, say, the next 12 weeks? Yeah, hi to you too. I'm making videos. I'm recording right now. What games are you playing? You daft punk. I'm going to a LARP. You will join my army of minions and throw chops until I am in complete control or until your arms fall off. Yeah, dude, Professor, it's March and there's a frickin' pandemic. What game are you even going to? Could you pretend you know how to pretend? Ugh, you're the worst. Okay, fine. I'll go to your pretend LARP, but what book should I use to make a character? LARP. The term conjures visions of wizards tossing beanbags, wispy teens wielding foam swords, rubber elf ears, and lots of chainmail. And yeah, LARP is all of those things, but I'm not here to talk about that. Nope, the LARP I'm talking about is much less foam sword and much more pleather pants. So clip on your fangs, paint on your sigils, and let's take a quick introductory look at the World of Darkness LARP. Wow, can the World of Darkness LARP community be intimidating? Just when you thought you had the system and metaplot licked, picked up your 10,000 books and learned all the ins and outs of your favorite genre, someone asks you to go play in a live action game? Well, how the hell do you even do that? If you look in your World of Darkness core books, they talk about live action play, but there's no rules or specifics to guide you further. For plenty of us new players out there, the introduction to LARP can go something like this. Hey, Professor, how do I make a character for the game? You don't. Use the LARP book. So you pull up the Googles, you get out to your favorite used bookstore, and you start digging for LARP rules. And you find this. This is insane. What book am I even supposed to use? What even is this game? Well, don't fret. You've come to the right place. Today, I'm going to do my rock-solid best to make the World of Darkness LARP community a little easier to understand and approach, as well as what books to use and what circumstances. LARP, or live-action role-playing, takes you and your character away from the table and into a whole new dimension of, well, roleplay. Instead of Nate sitting down at the table, Nate's character sits down at the table. Ideally, from the moment game starts until post-mortem, post, or end of game, I, the player, remain in character. The things I say or actions I take are the words and actions of my character, filtered through the rules and regulations of the game. I like to think of LARP as the other side of the coin to tabletop. Typically, a tabletop scenario is going to have a lot of out-of-character narrative, storyteller-to-player interaction, and dice rolling to accomplish tasks. LARP is mostly in-character roleplay between players, light storyteller narration, and light rules to adjudicate when necessary. Some experiences may vary. So now, let's talk about some of the major differences between the LARP games you're likely to attend. For this video, I'm going to be talking about LARP in the United States. So, sorry everyone else. I've got very little knowledge of the European, Asian, and South and Central American communities, so I apologize if this doesn't apply to you. I'm doing my best. If you're a local expert in your country, leave a comment below and let me know what LARPs are like where you live. Oh, and if you're watching this during the pandemic, yes, this video is just a tiny bit of wishful thinking. When it's safe to get back out there and meet folks in person, I'll be out there throwing chops right along with you. Until then, let's just use this opportunity to get excited for what the future brings. When making the decision to attend a World of Darkness LARP, you're likely to find yourself at one of 3 different types. There may be others in addition to these, but these are the most common.
The first type of game you're likely to encounter is the troop game, or local game. Regardless of what you call it, this game is independent of any gaming organization. Troop games usually attract between 10 and 30 players. Most of these players live locally or might travel from a reasonable distance. Troop games generally use one of the 2 major rule sets, with or without some home rules thrown in to make the game run smoother. Typically, these games build their own metaplot, perhaps based off of the tabletop game. The LARP's metaplot is molded over weeks, months, or even years of play as the group games together. Often, the players and storytellers are friends, acquaintances, or part of a larger local gaming community.
Next, we have the org game, or organization game. World of Darkness orgs typically consist of several interconnected games from a geographic region. These games share plot lines, rules, and information, as well as internal governance and adjudication. While these org games will typically use one version of the LARP rule set, they'll also have many org house rules, or adjustments to the rule set unique to their setting. Many of the more popular orgs have unique internal metaplot with years or even decades of player investment. Because of this player-driven continuity, these games can seem vastly different from the tabletop experience you're used to. One World by Night and Mind's Eye Society / Modern Enigma Society are two of the more well-known LARP orgs. Finally, you have your blockbuster or event-style LARPs. These LARPs can be standalone scenarios, convention games, or historical reenactments of World of Darkness events. Rule systems can vary dramatically from classic Mind's Eye Theater Edition rules to incredibly simple, permission-based rules. Events are typically one-shot or multiple-night ordeals, sometimes occurring annually or more often. Typically, these scenarios will have a resolution at the conclusion of the event. Blockbuster-style LARPs are often a major financial investment for players because of their high production value. At troop games, you might pitch in for a pizza or playing space, and there might be a recommended donation at an org game. But at a blockbuster LARP, you're paying for an experience. It's not uncommon to see players wearing period costumes and movie-quality full prosthetic makeup at events like these. It's also important to note that characters at these types of LARPs are often pre-generated for you, so you might not even need to touch a book to play. Now that we know the different types of World of Darkness LARP, let's talk about the different versions of the game. Hundreds of years ago, more like 28 years ago, White Wolf launched a variant of the popular RPG, Vampire the Masquerade, appropriately titled The Masquerade. Originally released in a boxed set, The Masquerade contained various guides, sheets, and a rule set for quick play. The Masquerade was even given a second edition in 1994, which combined everything into one book instead of a bunch of little ones. Along with The Masquerade, several other Mind's Eye Theater books were published, such as Antagonists and The Apocalypse, live-action rules for Werewolf the Apocalypse. In 1996, White Wolf published Laws of the Night for Mind's Eye Theater. Their new book was smaller than the standard gaming book, emphasizing portability for live-action use. This new format included new material, as well as reprinted material from the previous edition. Even though it was technically the first edition of Laws of the Night, many players referred to it as Second Ed. Even more confusing, it was technically the third edition of the Vampire LARP. Don't think about it too deeply. During this era of Mind's Eye Theater, rules for Wraith, Werewolf, and Changeling followed. In 1999, as Mind's Eye Theater was peaking in popularity, the Mind's Eye Theater Journal launched. This 8-issue magazine was released through 2001 and contained rules updates, interviews, stories, and more. Later that year, a revised edition to Laws of the Night was released. This third edition included sweeping updates to the rules, massive redesigns, and stuck closer to the rules and metaplot of the core tabletop game. In 2001, a revised edition of Laws of the Wild was released, with various supplements to follow. Mage the Ascension, Kindred of the East, Hunter the Reckoning, and Mummy the Resurrection all got the LARP treatment during this era. This revised edition continued to release new material until 2004, when the entire World of Darkness line concluded with Laws of Judgment. After the World of Darkness folded in 2004, White Wolf developed Mind's Eye Theater material for their new World of Darkness. However, that's not going to be covered here. Just know if Requiem, Forsaken, or Awakening are your preferred games, there's a LARP system for that too.
Even though the classic World of Darkness line ended, the LARP community continued to play with the revised system. In fact, many games and orgs continue to use the same system to this very day. Many new players find their way to the World of Darkness, Vampire the Masquerade, and all the other games through the revised system, just like I did.
In 2011, the World of Darkness arose from torpor, receiving a 20th anniversary treatment. With the resurrection of the classic source material, a new edition of the Mind's Eye Theater products was licensed for development and release. By Night Studios, aka BNS, released their new version of the Vampire the Masquerade LARP system in 2013. This new edition is a complete rules redesign with new metaplot and lore built in. Additionally, this edition dispenses with the pocket-sized rulebook format, instead opting for an all-in-one approach to the title. The BNS Mind's Eye Theater Vampire the Masquerade is the current system standard for the World of Darkness LARP. A Werewolf the Apocalypse line was launched in 2016, and other lines were rumored to be in the works as well. As of this video, a changeling title exists, but there doesn't seem to be any physical versions of the title available. And now we return to the question, what book should I use to make a character for this game? Generally, there's only 2 editions of the game you're going to use. The revised edition of the game here, yes, there's a lot of green. And there's red and purple. There's even a black leather version I don't have. And the By Night Studios version here. While the earlier editions are tons of fun to collect and full of nostalgia for veteran players, it's highly unlikely you'll ever need them for a game. The original Laws of the Night and its companion titles have remained on my bookshelves unused since probably 2001. Unless you're a collector like me, you won't need to spend your money on these books. The same goes for the Mind's Eye Theater journals. They're cool to read and fun to collect, but they aren't imperative to your experience at the LARP. My advice to you, new recruit to the LARP community, is simply to ask. Ask the friend who's dragging you to the game. We hope they're a better friend than I. Ask the storyteller who's approving the character. Ask the admin on the Facebook group. Ask the players in the Discord. And if you're not sure what book they're talking about, come back here and watch this video. Just a quick postscript. There are a ton of ways to LARP, and a ton of people who enjoy it for many different reasons. If your fellow players are treated with respect, and the very simple rules of engagement are followed, LARP can be immensely satisfying. Whether you prefer a pure political experience, a combat-heavy PvP game, or a lighthearted mixture of styles, there are no right or wrong ways to play the game. Some games simply may not be for you, and that's okay. Live-action role-playing can sometimes get a bad rap, for sure. However, LARP can be as varied and unique as any tabletop experience. Some of my greatest memories and longest, most important friendships grew out of the LARP community. I strongly encourage fans of the World of Darkness to get out there, when it's safe, and give Mind's Eye Theater a try. Thank you for watching my intro to World of Darkness LARP. If you're new here, make sure you check out some of my other World of Darkness and tabletop RPG videos. Also, check out my podcast, 2D10, wherever podcasts are sold.
It's free.
Also, make sure to be on the lookout for my Mind's Eye Theater character creation tutorials coming soon. What should I tackle next? Leave me them comments below. Until next time, play safe, be mindful of your fellow players, and treat all people with respect. Thanks for watching. Sir, what book should I use to make your character? I'm gonna have to do everything over again. Start from the beginning.
Okay.
After the World of Darkness, so you pull up your Googles, you get out your favorite okay. So you pull up the Google. Okay. So you pull up the Googles. You go. So now let's talk about some of the major. So now I'll be throwing chops right along with you. The revised edition of the game here